People keep making the same mistake with AI, and it's holding their business back from its true potential. And that is equating bad output with low intelligence. What they'll do is they'll give ChatGPT or Claude one vague instruction to a capable actor, let's say Opus 5 or maybe even Fable 5, and then when it produces a weak or incorrect results, they just assume AI is dumb. Everyone else is using it, doesn't know what they're talking about. It can't do anything that's useful. You would think by now that people have realized that AI isn't dumb. We've even got data that kind of proves it. This is one of the evaluation benchmarks that they test the AI models against. So what it does, it will have them perform real world tasks across 44 occupations and 9 major industries. So this is a direct comparison of how good AI is at completing economically valuable tasks, which would normally be done by a human. So this baseline here, this grey dotted line, as you can see, is the human baseline. So according to this, every model above Gemini 3.5 Flash Lite is better than a human at these tasks. Opus 5, which was released just a few days ago at the time of recording, scored 1,861, which is almost double. On one hand, this is proof that AI is in fact not dumb, believe it or not, but how true this is in terms of the human baseline is up to you to decide. But since AI is now building and coding apps that used to take developers months in a matter of hours, I think we can all agree that AI is in fact not dumb and is pretty clever. The problem is people like Dave. Dave owns a lift company, so he services, maintains, replaces, fixes lifts, elevators, things like that. And he's heard about how good AI is, so he wants to use it to create quotes for potential jobs. He's loaded up Claude and he said, how much should I charge for this? Giving it the simple spec that he's working off that he would use to acquire the job. Now, what Claude's going to do is make some assumptions because it doesn't have any more data. It might search the internet to try and find it. It's not going to find much because it's kind of a niche B2B service. So it's limited on what it can quote. And it's come back and said, based on what I can see, around $50,000. Now, since Dave had already quoted $30,000 for this, his response to Claude was, you are useless. You're dumb. AI is useless. It can't do anything that's useful. We've already agreed that AI is in fact intelligent. So what is the problem? The problem is how Dave actually prices his own jobs, because it's all in his head. He's got 20 years experience in the industry. He knows how long things take, what they're worth, how he charges for his people, for his employees to go out and do these things. He's got an inherent understanding of roughly how much these jobs are worth to both him and the people he's doing it for. But that's all in his head. None of that was passed on to Claude. So for an AI model to be able to complete this task of creating quotes for potential jobs, all this stuff that's just up here needs to be written down and passed to it. So how is the price being calculated? Do you charge a day rate? Do you charge an hourly rate? Are you charging it per service, per fixed line item? And then what is that rate that you're charging for these things? How long does each specific service take on average? So if you're charging by hourly or day, how many days or hours will it take based on the jobs you've done before? Now, all of that is already inherently in his head. But when he went over here and asked this model, it doesn't have access to any of that information. It's just working with the information that it has. And I'll give you another example of this. Let's say you've got a friend who is a software engineer. Your car breaks down. Your friend comes over and you just say, hey, could you go outside and fix my car? Software engineers are obviously intelligent. You don't get into software engineering unless you have some kind of baseline level of intelligence, or let's say a doctor. But when you ask them to fix your car, there's no saying that intelligence transfers. They don't know anything about the domain of mechanics. They don't know the steps to follow of how to do it. That doesn't make them inherently dumb. That just means they don't know how to do this one specific task. And then something else I want you to consider is a new employee. Let's say you are an accountancy firm, you get a new employee in, and then you say to this person, they're fresh out of college, never actually done really anything useful, just been reading books for the last 6 years, and you say, can I have a big accountancy reconcile these accounts? If they can't do that, or if they make any mistakes, your first thing is not going to say, you're dumb, you're fired. You actually need to show them the steps they have to take, how to go through and do this specific task, what things to check for, how you expect it to be delivered to you. These are all things with employees where if someone does something wrong as an employee, it's usually, unless they've been there a while, if a new employee doesn't know how to do something, it's not their fault. It would be the employer's fault for not specifying how exactly things are supposed to be done. This is why things like onboarding exists, where you go through and you teach everybody how to do whatever it is they need to do. There's SOPs in place so that everybody does it the exact same way. I want you to look at AI the same way as you would look at an employee. If they're not doing what you want, it's not because they're inherently incapable. You just haven't been specific enough of what you want to be done. and how you expect it to be done and how you expect it to be delivered back to you. So to get the results that you're looking for, what you need to do is I want you to reconcile these accounts and give it to me back in this specific format. Context. We're an accounting agency. This is how we expect them to be done. This is the business that you're doing the accounts for. Here's the inputs. Here's the actual accounts. These are the steps I expect you to take. These are constraints. Don't do this. Don't make stuff up. And then at the end, I want you to check that all the work you've done is correct. That will allow that same actor from before that gave you a poor output to give you a reliable output. So the intelligence is not the issue. The problem is not the intelligence, it's the context. These models in some domains are more capable than humans. They can write 1,000,000 times faster than us. They can research 1,000,000 times faster than us. They can build apps, build websites. These things that used to take humans hours can now be done in seconds. The models aren't stupid, you're just not providing enough context. And if you want to get the absolute most out of AI, I actually have a community over on School called Agentic Leverage, where I'll help you identify what's holding your business back from growing and then how AI can actually solve them problems. If you head over and join now, it's currently free, but it won't be forever. So if you want to get in it while it's free, click the link in the description and I'll see you in there.